Hello and welcome back, guys. Today we're going to take a look at my Grandmaster Deathblade build that I got that rank with, which is a little bit different than the builds that I talked about before because the meta changed a lot, and I think it's just important to, keep adapting your builds, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. So at the moment, I'm playing a little bit of a different setup, and I want to walk you through what I'm doing to get to Grandmaster on EU Central, and what kind of build I'm playing, how do you play it, maybe how do you position yourself a little bit, like which ability interacts with which, and so on. On top of that, at the end of the video or after I explain the build, I will also have a little bit of a game from yesterday that I will commentate over, and I will just talk about what I'm doing basically. So yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so let's get into the main abilities first. First of all is upper slash. I talked about it being good on sturdy armor before, but currently with the way Swiftness works in our version, Swift Fingers is better, large twister, and tenacity. Now this is obviously your main super armor and knock-up tool. It's just nice. You always need to use it, honestly, in almost all builds. There's a couple of niche builds that don't, but especially if you're newer to the game and maybe you want a little bit of an easier execution of that knock-up and a combo starter, this is a very great ability, and it also works very well with Void Strike. I'll show you that really quick. Let's scroll on to Void Strike, Swift Fingers, Fist of Darkness, and Dark Explosion. By the way, I will have this build in the description below as well, so you can just click on it and you don't have to watch the entire video, right? Void Strike is one of the best abilities in the game in locking people down and punishing, because as you can see, it knocks people up twice, which means they are, well, in the air for longer, which allows you to, combo it into another ability. In a lot of cases, that will be your Moonlight Sonic. So for here, for example, I Void Strike and a Moonlight Sonic right after, and I get a full Moonlight Sonic off, basically. You can do upper slash into Void Strike and into Moonlight Sonic for a very easy executed combo, and that's basically your cookie cutter in this build, and it's a very hard punish. It's a lot of damage, and that setup is really nice. Speaking of Moonlight Sonic, the basic setup is always Fist of Darkness, Sustain Enhancement, and Shade Sonic. It's very simple. And let's talk about Spin Cutter for 1 second. Swift Fingers is the only tripod you take here, and it's basically just movement. It doesn't stagger, it doesn't CC, it doesn't do anything really, it's just for movement. Then we have Dark Axle, which is the best mobility tool of Blade. And in this build, you play Swift Fingers, Tenacity, and High Axle. It's a very nice long distance engage, which is also protected. The entirety of it is actually protected. Keep in mind it's a little bit linear, so good players can catch you with a hard CC in this, although it's a movement ability. But overall, it's a nice catcher, and you can do a lot with this. So if you catch someone off guard, you can do upper slash. You could even do a headhunt. We talk about that in a second as well, and catch people off guard with that. So headhunt, speaking of which is your main hard CC option. Normally in a couple of builds I don't actually play this, but in this meta I think it's kind of necessary, especially if you play it with Void Strike, because this gives you another option to charge up your Void Strike, not only with upper slash but also with headhunt, right? One quick mention about any hard CC in the game, not only headhunt or anything really, is that if someone is on the floor hard CC'd, they can't roll. So meaning if I do this and I stun him mid-air, he can't roll anymore, so you can get a full combo off, and maybe your team can, converge off of that as well. So that's something that you should always keep in mind, and especially important on this build. But as I said, you can also just start with a raw headhunt into a Void Strike, and you have the same combo again, right? Then on top of that, we have Blitz Rush. Now Blitz Rush, you could also run Vital Point Hit, but I don't think it's good enough. Wide Angle Attack actually has insane AoE radius. It almost seems like it's bugged sometimes. That's how good this is. So I think you don't really have an option here. Blitz Rush with Wide Angle Attack all around, and Shadow Rush is your main ranged option to knock people down and knock people up. Also, this can be used in combos, obviously. So if you're out of your Moonlight Sonic, for example, or you have upper slash up right, you have nothing else, you can keep juggling people with that. It's also good in neutral, so when people, run into you, you can catch people off guard with that. You can, peel your teammates with that. You can help other teammates combo with that. It's just a great tool. I wouldn't really miss this on any build. I think this is insanely good. Last but not least is a little bit of a preference option. Now, actually, it's like this at the moment. I play Death Sentence because this is a hard stagger immunity, on top of which is a good amount of mobility and applies a cold zone and has 2 knockdowns. Well, the first one is a knockdown, the second one is a knock-up. So it's a very good option against anyone that has a lot of hard stagger that you can engage on. For example, gunslingers or deadeyes, right? So there's a lot of hard stagger in the game at the moment, also even Sorks to an extent. And this is hard stagger immune and is a knock-up and gives you some mobility. Now, why do you take Cold Zone here? Actually pretty simple, because a lot of the meta classes at the moment are not very mobile. Now, if you know how movement speed works and how slows work, it actually doesn't slow your attack speed at all. So if a class like a War Dancer has a lot of dashes, then the Cold Zone or the movement speed decrease doesn't really matter, because they won't be slowed in those dashes, right? Because it's not an attack speed slow, just a movement speed slow. But for classes like Artillerists, Bards, Paladins, Sorks to an extent, very immobile classes, and in that sense the Cold Zone is actually insanely good at just keeping them, you know, slowly walking behind the enemies and like can't really keep up anymore. So that's the main reason why I play Cold Zone right now. If you don't like it, you can also play Confirmed Kill. And now you're probably asking yourself why you're not playing Maelstrom. Now the main reason I don't play this is because most teams don't know how to play with this buff. And on top of that, I think it's a very long cooldown that doesn't provide you or yourself as much as other abilities like Death Sentence. I think this is definitely an option, and if you like this, keep playing it, but I prefer Death Sentence over Maelstrom. And the Awakening is always Flash Blink in every Blade build in PvP ever, so that's not even, like, not really a discussion. You can't really play Blade Assault, it's not good. And now that we talked about the build and the basics, let's get into an actual game where I just talk about what I'm doing a little bit, and what you should keep in mind, and maybe the positioning here and there, and just, you know, get into the game a little bit more. So yeah, see you there. Okay, so this is a game from yesterday, which was a fairly high level one actually. We were playing against, in my opinion, the best Deadeye, well, on Russia previously, and this is a pretty good game, I think, because it's also very close. No spoilers though. You'll see that in at the end. We were playing against a Gunslinger, Paladin, and a Deadeye, and we have a Blade, which is me, a Bard, and a War Dancer. So let's get started. This is an interesting matchup because Paladin and Bard are very opposite supports that want to do very separate things. So well, and they have two very fast classes in a Gunslinger and a Deadeye, so it's not very easy to play this as a Blade. So let's get started. So first of all, you can see already how they try to control the FOV with those ranged abilities, but it's pretty easy if you don't get hit there. Same with the Deadeye. That one hit me a little bit, but they didn't follow that up with anything, so I was a little bit lucky there, didn't see that. So now they have shields ups. Technically, right now, we have damage reduction from the Bard, and they have shields from the Paladin. Technically here, it's kind of a handshake where both teams don't do anything, but in a lot of cases, you do have to engage, and you have to be ready once they do engage. So the War Dancer gets a very nice freeze here, and I convert that into a little bit of a combo. So this is important because I was ready for that. That's why I was positioning myself like this, because I knew that the War Dancer has the speed to engage at that point. But I, as a Blade, it's very hard for me to catch people like a Gunslinger or a Deadeye, so I kind of have to play off of the War Dancer. And the War Dancer gets a very good catch, and we get a good upper slash here. Now, I don't have time to use Void Strike, simply because it takes too long to charge, because I dashed out of the way, right? I have to opt into Blitz Rush here, which I do, and a little bit of a bonus damage of the Death Sentence, maybe slowing the target down too. Using the space a little bit there against the Paladin as well. And as you can see, the Paladin has now damage reduction up. I have no idea where my War Dancer is, but I trust him at, you know, at doing his job. So I'm trying to help the Bard a little bit here, get the stun off into a Void Strike. I don't really have a whole lot else here. I could have maybe opted into the Identity again, but I don't think it was worth it here, and we'd still get a roll out of him, so that's pretty valuable. And now you can see that the Deadeye is coming actually to follow that up, but I get a double upper slash here. Now that's exactly the kind of setup that you want in that scenario for an Awakening. So the Deadeye was a little bit, well, over-aggressive and didn't respect the hard stagger of my Axle. So I can basically drag him to the enemy and then followed it up with an upper slash, because the Paladin was just stationary casting Ruffians, trying to protect himself, right? So now I'm using upper slash into my Awakening, which is a guaranteed hit, by the way, so that always works. Sometimes your team can screw it up, but generally speaking, it always works. So now we're trying to re-engage again, and as you can see, my team is very healthy still, and the War Dancer is also doing a very good job applying pressure that I can then use to my advantage, right? So the thing about Blade is, we have very long cooldowns, right? In a lot of cases, at least, damage cooldowns. So it's very nice to have someone in your team that can apply pressure, so get like cooldowns out of targets. So when I go in, they have way less options, and I can punish that, you know? That's exactly what's happening here. So the Bard is running around, and the War Dancer is doing his job at the very end there. I dodged that. That's also something I want to talk about actually really quick. The dash of Deathblade is one of the most important things of the class. So upper slash is pretty stationary, as you can see. And the Gunslinger is trying to use the freeze grenade here, and he does. But I was ready for that, and that's why you should never use your dash aggressively and always reactionary. I know that's easier said than done, because in a lot of cases you want to just go in and jump in and be aggressive, but in a lot of cases the best aggression is actually to be patient with your dash, so you cannot get hit by that kind of stuff, you know? So we keep going, and in the back line my team 2v1 that Deadeye while I was 2v1ing or 1v2ing, and now we have a pretty good advantage here. We're looking pretty nice, but keep in mind I already used my Awakening. Look at that War Dancer again in the backline, trying his best to apply that much pressure. But as you can see here, both of my teammates have no rolls, and they just get absolutely clobbered. There was a 2v2, they both got caught, no rolls, and just get absolutely destroyed. I can't catch anyone now. So the problem that I'm facing now as the Blade is the War Dancer and the Bard can't apply pressure anymore. The Bard died, after all. And now it's very hard for me to catch a Gunslinger or a Deadeye, because those classes are just faster than me. So I'm basically just running around like a headless chicken, trying to catch something, which I do there, but I get cancelled by that Paladin. So I was a little greedy on that Void Strike. I get caught again, good Rhapsody by the Bard, so basically mitigating that entire combo, and I'm still fine. So I'm still trying to catch people here. He got lucky at the very end, and I'm just trying to fish for pushes. I'm trying to fish just so I can get a couple of rolls or something so we can punish harder afterwards, right? Again, I miss my heart CC, and that is very bad. So now now the Paladin gets a full damage combo off basically, and now I don't have a roll. So I have to play a little bit cautiously, especially now that, you know, we didn't have that. But now we have a Bard Awakening. And this is one of those situations where you can just play hyper aggressive, even if that means you get hit a lot and you have to use, I don't know, everything that you have. But the shields in this game there's no counterplay really. It's almost impossible to burst through a Bard Awakening shield. So if I just run in, and even if I get hit right by two different people, and they use their cooldowns on me, I'm generating pressure because they won't have those cooldowns later, right? And the shield just mitigates all that damage anyways. So I go in and I try to full combo. Now that is also again a very important thing. Let's just wind it back a little bit. I know that the Paladin doesn't have a roll here. So that you see that dash just to reposition, not to play it aggressively or not to go in further, but to have more, how do I say this, more calculated aggression. So I don't get hit by that knock up, and I can still charge it up and get the full damage off. Because you do have that time on that hard CC, right? So I get it off, and that's a lot of damage. We don't know the Paladin has no roll, and he just gets blown up. Now it's 5-2. It's looking really good for us, and we catch that Gunslinger as well. Now it's the Deadeye versus us, and the Paladin also respawn. Again, a very good catch by the War Dancer, and I'm healing up a little bit here. So that's not a whole lot of health, but as one of the main front lines, you want to take that heal. And you can see both of the enemies again trying their best to like engage there with range, but I'm just a little bit short of my movement here. I wish that sentence would actually dash a little bit further. But we go in and we get caught. The freeze catches me at the very top, and now I'm dead. So now we have a problem because our Bard is alone. What does that mean? That means the Bard will get run down by 3 people, and the Bard can't really do that much about it. So the Bard dies as well. And now we have staggered respawns. So that means I'm respawning, then the War Dancer respawns, and then the Bard respawns. So we're not together, right? Which is already a bad situation. We're still 1 kill ahead, but this is not a good situation to be in, because this can snowball the other way very, very quickly. Good Ruffians there also to mitigate the damage. And now we're just basically trying to reset the game a little bit and go back to our advantage state. Because at the moment, we are still 1 kill ahead, right? So technically we are still the ones in the lead. Now, I'm trying to catch the Holy Knight again there, but I don't have anything for that. So that was a very good catch by me. Unfortunately, though, didn't result in a whole lot. And now the Awakening of the Paladin comes out. Now, that is a big issue, right? Although we see the Gunslinger didn't even get the shield, that's important. Because that's now our target while the buff lasts. Although both of these other guys, which is a Deadeye and a Paladin, can frontline without being punished. And we are in the 30-second buff, in the last 30-second, which gives crit chance and crit damage, or damage in general. Which means that now we have a problem. And as you saw, the Bard just got blown up, right? The Bard, because of that buff, look at the Bard is full health right now. But she gets caught once and doesn't have a roll and gets just absolutely destroyed. So now we have a problem. Now it's even. And we can't really pressure them at the moment because the Bard is dead and they have a lot of momentum going in their favor, right? So I almost die here at the very end, but good on the War Dancer actually canceling a little bit more of that. And the the Rhapsody here misses me, so I die of the Deadeye Awakening. And now we're actually 1 kill behind after being 4 kills ahead, okay? That's how fast that can change. Now we're re-engaging in. Obviously, we need to kill everyone. So now that crit was very, very important. Finishing off that Holy Knight, that Paladin. And now there's a lot of trades happening. So in the back line, the War Dancer dies to the Gunslinger, but in the front, we actually kill the Paladin and the Deadeye, right? But now it's even again. And on this patch, the timer is still bugged, so it says 0, but it's 30 seconds. So we're almost entering golden kill state at this point. And look at how much damage I'm getting. Like 2 crits and I'm half health. And now I have a problem. I do have a roll here, but the Rhapsody of the Bard saves me. And I'm trying my best to just position myself in a way that I can be useful, but at the same time not risk dying, right? That's easier said than done. But that's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm going in, I'm trying to help out the War Dancer because he's also low now. And I'm trying to just do my best to be in the back line and pressure them so they have to play more aggressively and maybe get caught by my teammates. Which I miss everything here, right? I miss everything here, and that doesn't really help. I got a good Moonlight Sonic off on 2 people, but that's not our main targets because the Gunslinger at the moment is the lowest health. So it's a little bit of a struggle here. But luckily, at the back line, the War Dancer has the speed to catch up to the Gunslinger and finishes the Gunslinger off. So just to wrap it up really quick, I'm just gonna wind it back just a little bit so we can watch it in the background. Just to like sum it up a little bit, Blade, in a lot of games, you have to play it aggressively and create a lot of space for your team, but at the same time, you need to be able to not get hit yourself, right? So using your dash defensively, I almost want to say, just to have more aggression is very useful. And that's something that a lot of Blades don't do right, because a lot of our abilities, Moonlight Sonic, Upper Slash, are very stationary. So if we don't have a dash ready when we need it, we're gonna struggle. With that being said, that's the video for today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing. And if you want to watch me play PvP or PvE live, come over to Twitch. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and see you in the next one. Peace.